How does an Agile coach facilitate sprint planning? Well, this answer may be a bit different from how does a Scrum Master facilitate a sprint planning, because an Agile coach may or may not be part of that team. As a Scrum Master, you're part of the team, and your role is really to make sure that sprint planning is an effective use of time so the team is set up for success going into that sprint. As an Agile coach, we have to be clear. Are you an Agile coach and called such because you work with a team but you don't do Scrum? In which case, you're likely to be doing the same work as a Scrum Master. You're going to be there helping the team work through planning. You're going to be there helping them understand the capacity of the team, the constraints within which they find themselves. Make sure that they hold themselves accountable to their approach. Very often, when I teach Scrum, it will be a similar thing. We want a product owner to come in with their backlog, an ordered list of the stuff that they want in an order suitable for delivery. And with the team, they're going to work together to work out which of the items on that product backlog are going to come off, what the goal is that they're going to work towards. That's the real commitment here. Okay, so they're working out what are they doing and why are they doing it. Right? What are we doing as a team coach? Well, we're facilitating that conversation. We're prodding, we're nudging, we're calling them back to prior discussions, keeping them on track. This is facilitation at its simplest. We are making sure people stay engaged with the topic at hand, planning, and we make sure everybody has the opportunity to be heard. So we're just encouraging discussion and we're keeping people focused on the topic. Right? Then, when that's decided, very often the product owner will go into the background a bit as we move into the more technical, how do we intend to solve it? And the Scrum Master or an Agile coach working with the team is going to be engaged in that same conversation in likely the same way. If they're a developer as well, they're going to be in it, hands-on, working this out. If they've taken a step back and they're working solely as a Scrum Master or an Agile coach, they're not going to be focused on the detail. They're going to be interested in, are we moving through this? Are we making best use of our time? Holding time boxes, helping facilitate the approach, prodding, nudging, the same thing but a different focus. Instead of the what and the why, how are you going to solve this as developers? How are you going to bring all of your collective intelligence together to create the best possible solution you can foresee? So if you're a team coach, it's going to be similar. You're going to be working with one team, potentially quite hands-on in an Agile coaching capacity. You're going to be there as a facilitator, a knowledgeable party to the process. If you're working across many teams, your role may shift. Let's be clear, your role may still have you take that more hands-on approach like a Scrum Master. You may be needed. You may have been called in because it's not working and they want somebody to help guide them through the process, get them back on track. You'll often hear Agile coaches brought back in to warm teams back up, help them find their groove again. So you may be in that role. You need to be clear when you're going in what you're doing. You may be there to help the team coach, the Scrum Master who's already there, in which case you're a spare pair of hands and you are doing whatever that main facilitator wants you to. Such is life. You might be there to observe. And this is a key one. This is something that I do a lot with my Scrum Masters and my Agile coaches, is they invite me in to observe them. I'm not looking at the team. I want them to be successful, but I'm not really interested in them. I'm interested in the person who's invited me in, who's asked me to come in to give them feedback. And very often what are we doing is paying attention to, are they holding the agenda? Are they holding their team's agenda? Are they helping them? Are they drawing people into discussions? How are they managing the conflict that arises? All of these things. Okay? So that when we step out of planning, we can sit down and we can have a good conversation, mentoring or coaching or whatever was agreed beforehand or is agreed at the start of that conversation. So we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about it, because why am I there? I'm there to help them improve. I'm there to help them be better. So you might be called in as an Agile coach to help other people be better at their role. Hopefully that sounds similar, but we're working one step away from the team. We're helping the people who help the developers. The other place that I get brought in when I'm not working with the team is looking over multiple teams, trying to help them create the communication that they need. This is not me as a coordinator. This is not me as that project manager or whatever other term you want to place it. I'm not doing the communication. What I'm there for is to make sure that those channels stay open. It's a bit of a weird role. I don't do it very often, but it can be incredibly important, particularly when the teams seem to be isolated. They're not talking. So I've been there and I've ducked into one team and I've heard a conversation and I've thought, ooh, maybe we want to get that team talking to, team A talking to team C, and B needs to be involved in team A's conversation about a different topic. How do I get that conversation started? I'll be honest, it's not a place I enjoy. Very often organisations look at it and you end up being treated like some sort of project manager, and they try and deal with it in very traditional hierarchical approaches and passing pieces of paper or passing emails around. Very often for me it's a good sign that we need a deeper conversation about the planning approach in multi-team environments. How do we move you from somebody being needed to make sure you're talking to the teams knowing when they can talk? Not a topic for today. It is a thing that I've been called into. I'm not going to say I enjoy it. I'm not sure it's the best use of your time, but it is something that as an Agile coach, I've been pulled into planning for. So as an Agile coach, you may end up playing one of many roles. You may be the facilitator in the room, the person stood up, everybody's looking at, to help them through the planning. You may be a spare pair of hands. You've been brought in because somebody's dealing with a larger team, teams of teams, whatever it is. You may be there to observe and to help the person who is facilitating that meeting improve. Or occasionally you may, as Agile coaches tend to be this random person who is seen to be wandering the halls aimlessly, pulled in to perform roles that may not be what we want to do, but may be necessary today to keep things moving. But remember, if you find yourself in that role, what you want to be doing is working with those teams and that organisation to understand the pros and the cons and find ways to improve that situation itself. If you've got to this point in the video, I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, a like would be appreciated. If you want to hear more from me, more answers to questions that maybe you've got in the Agile world, please subscribe to the channel. And if you've got a question that you really want answered, drop it in the comments. I promise we'll get around to it. Thank you.